And indeed, our souls are welcome here. So it is all fun and games in life until it's not fun and games. And I myself love me a good competition. I love being able to compete and have a good time. But sometimes when we're not on a football field, a volleyball field, gaining your place in band for competition isn't really necessary, because if we empower each other and lift each other up, then everything shines. And so today I'm going to talk about empowering being freedom. I'm going to talk about why is it even important for us to even empower others, and then ways that we could kind of hone in on that skill. So empowering is indeed freedom. It's freedom for you for doing the empowering. It's freedom for the person that you have empowered and encouraged. And when we uplift and we give grace, it moves positive energy. Every single time we extend ourselves to encourage and lift somebody else so that they can shine their light, energy moves. Positive energy just keeps going and going and going and going. And energy never dies. So however that form stays, it stays to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, and it gives me goosebumps just talking about the possibility of that. So Paul wrote to Hebrews, "Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but to encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." So the day is in capital D, and so a lot of people think of that as the second coming of Christ. But we know that Christ indwells in us every single minute of every single day, because we are an expression of the divine. So every single day, the day with the capital D is here for us. And Paul, when he wrote his letters, he truly was building the Christian faith outward. If it wasn't for Paul, it might have looked completely different than it does now. And when I look at the maps of where Paul's territory covered, this man did a lot of work, and a lot of it through writing letters. But he encouraged and empowered other people. Do I agree with everything that Paul wrote? No. But I don't agree with everything with everybody. That's just our human condition. That's how we are to be with one another. But there are so many good golden nuggets that Paul has for us in the epistles. And so with this encouragement to spur one another on, we can see that positive move, that positive going on and changing of consciousness on our individual level and on a global level. So this story of Paul, when he's writing his letters, is pure evidence of one empowering moment gives generations of empowering moments. One empowering moment gives generations of empowering moments. One letter fed the souls of generations. Here we are, centuries later. And we're empowered and encouraged by these words that he felt called to write from Spirit. And so we have that opportunity to do that in our daily life. That when we power up and we power out, everything shines. And so it does. I'm going to tell a couple of stories here. One story is, when I was working in corporate world, we had a new employee come in, and young, eager, ready to impress, ready to verify the insurance verifications that she needed to do to make sure that the clients of ours, who were patients, got the medical care that they needed. And so it's a good little bit of friendly competition in having the highest amount of verifications for any particular insurance. And I held that record for a while. And this young one comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to beat your record." I said, "That's great. Would you like to know how to do it?" She's like, "You're going to show me?" And I'm like, "Why wouldn't I?" "Yeah." So I gave her all the tips that I had. And she took all the tips that she had and has earned the nickname Zippy because she came in rearing and ready to go from the get-go, and honing in on the tips from her and other people that she learned from. She not only broke my record, but she broke it substantially and created an atmosphere within the team of, well, we could do this too. And so it grew and grew. And the beautiful part about that, doing it in a corporate world, is the impact that we were making beyond the walls of that building, because people were able to get the medical needs that they were in a timely manner, because we had a little bit of friendly competition amongst ourselves. And we kind of kept it fun at work. Like I told them when I was manager, I said, okay, it's St. Patrick's Day coming up. For each goal we meet, you get to dress me like a leprechaun. And they did, green hair and all. But it's in that encouragement, in that empowerment, if we can have fun doing it, then the energy just keeps going and moving and transforming and rippling out into the world. And so I encourage you guys to power up, power out, so that everything shines. And the reason that we do this, many reasons, but one of them, it is impossible for the world to not change when we do this. And I can give some examples. One example is from one of our congregants, and I got permission before I decided to share this story. But Lancine she tutors and mentors students and adults. And so we were sitting in the foyer, and she shared a story that is, well, two stories, but one that's amazing is teaching an adult in their 40s the skills that they need to not only grasp calculus and above, but to move those skills to college, to get the degree, to then become a teacher. Generations are changed because of that empowering moment. Calculus, what was the? Pre-algebra to trigonometry. I might need some tutoring because I'm not even there. But that instant of being able to be there for somebody and to lift them up and to encourage them made a difference, so that the person was like, they became a teacher. And then they're teaching kids who, I'm certain some of those kids will become teachers. And God bless the teachers. And the other thing is that our very survival depends on us empowering and encouraging others. This can be the difference of staying in one socioeconomic class. Because when there are times when, let's see, as the saying goes, if you have room at your table, don't build walls, add more seats. So if we have the bandwidth to be able to encourage, mentor, just hold sacred space, the amazingness of the power of prayer. And one of the prayer techniques that I love to use is, what are 3 words I can hold in sacred space for you? Thank you, Susan Demeline, for that teaching, because it has probably been one of the most powerful prayer tools I have ever learned, because the power in that energy, I've seen it move mountains. It's incredible. And the encouragement can come in so many different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a mentoring kind of capacity. It can be in a parent-to-parent capacity. How many of us in the room and online, parents having been parents? Yes. So you know that when you come home and you get the knee baby that grows into a hip baby, that grows into an adult baby, but the minute you hit the door or they hit the door when they're driving coming in, Mom, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, I need. Oh, and by the way, and what about, and blah, 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 and it goes. And sometimes parents just get a little tired, not because they don't love what they do, because I love every minute of getting to be a bonus mom. But sometimes it's nice when somebody says, hey, kids are coming over to my house for the weekend, and you're like, and that instant in itself is empowering, because it's empowering the other parent to have a little bit of a respite. And that little bit of a respite helps to fill the cup so that we can continue to serve and to help and to uplift the consciousness of the world. So when we hone in, when we move into what it is ours to do in this manner, one thing for sure that you've got to do is to fill your cup. Because if you're emptying from an empty cup, it doesn't, yes, you can help somebody, but it doesn't have the same power that it could. Because sometimes if you're overly tired, you lose the joy in it. Sometimes if you're overly tired, you guilty. Sometimes help out of regret or because I have to or because it's my duty. And then in that mix, you're mixing in some positive and some negative energy, which ripples. So when we move with our cup filled, we're able to fully and joyfully help and serve others. And when I say to have self-care and to fill our cup, I'm not necessarily talking about bubble baths and manicures. I'm talking about spending time with Spirit. When we take the time, even 5 minutes, y'all, and I know I can feel it. I don't have 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes. I got this and this and this and this, this. Go lock yourself in a bathroom and pretend that's what you're doing and get yourself some 5 minutes with God. Okay? Done it. I've done it. I've had the 2-year-old with the hands underneath the door going, Mom, I'll be right out, honey. 5 minutes. You and God. Because when you get that time, you can sit and ask for what's mine to do. You can sit and just be filled. Being able to sit in the lap of the divine. Think of somebody who's held you at some point in time, whether you were a little kid or a grown-up, or somebody that gives you that hug that just feels like when you hug, you become one person. And that's what it's like being with the divine. When you sit with God in that manner, you're being held. And you know you're being held because your hair is standing on end. You know you're being held because you feel safe. So we're being empowered by the divine so that we can too go out and empower others. And after you have your cup full and running over, because y'all, there's no end to the abundant supply of the cup getting filled. It shall runneth over and over and over. And you don't have to go gathering it either. It just somehow magically just fills itself back up. So you don't have to chase the spilled milk, so to speak. But once you've done that and you have yourself restored and renewed and refreshed, look around you. It may be something as simple as somebody just venting because they have gone through the muck. They've had a bad week, they're tired, people have peopled on them, and they're just exhausted. And just hearing them, actively listening and looking at them, lovingly knowing that you've listened and said, you've got this. There's nothing that you can't do. You've got this. That's so simple yet so powerful. It is like, it's like fireworks in the sky. All you've got to do is light one little fuse and watch the magic happen in something that simple. I do want to phrase with encouragement and empowerment is not the same as giving unsolicited advice. Because we have this habit that we kind of like to help and fix people because we care about them, because we love them, because we want to to uplift, but it really isn't our job to fix. So I do ask, before you go offering the well advice, ask them if it's okay, because sometimes it may not be okay. They may not be ready to hear it. And even when you give it, when somebody says yes, you may not see the immediate results right away. And you're going to have to be okay with that. Because the same person who you offered the advice to may have to walk through what they're walking through a few times over before they can go, I remember Leslie telling me about, what was that? Oh, yes, that thing. I think I might try that now. And we may never get to see it, but we've planted the seed. And when you plant that seed, we never really know where it's going to land. Because it could automatically land on fertile ground, and you can see some amazing things happen really, really, really fast. And then some may be like this cedar tree that I see on the way to San Antonio. In the middle of the highway. In between the concrete borders that keep us from crashing into each other, there's this cedar tree that is living its best life in between the cracks of humans changing their world, because at one point in time it was a dirt road down there and they had plenty of room to be. So this cedar tree is probably, maybe about 4 feet tall now. Sometimes there's a soul brave enough, I don't know when they do this, but they decorate and throw a couple ornaments on it. How they do that and not get killed on I-35, they must find a sweet spot in the middle of the night. But that tree, it's doing its thing because that's where it was supposed to land. And that tree may grow to be only 4 feet tall, and that's what it's supposed to do. Or that tree may move slowly the concrete borders. I've seen it happen in nature pictures that come across my Facebook feed every now and again. Or it may do like I've seen on the countryside, where there's an old barbed wire fence and the tree just grows and the barbed wire is right in the middle of the tree and the tree's still growing and the fence is still there. But no matter where we're planted, we have the ability to be in our purpose. And we can be in our purpose when we power up and power out, and then everything shines. We can always be in our purpose. So when you look and you find those things, center in prayer. Because we may know right away what it is or what we think it is that we're supposed to do because we like to fix things. But that may not be what Spirit has for you to do. And so sit in that contemplative time, in that quiet time, so that you can listen. Because while you may see somebody and think, man, it would sure be nice if they blah, 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 blah. You may not be the resource for that. You may not have the time for that to do it adequately for the needs of that person. But yours to do could be, I remember you telling me about you were going through such and such, and here is this resource. Give them the contact information, where to find it, and allow that seed to drop. Because they may call the resource right then and there. Or they may not call the resource until 5 years from now. They may not call the resource till after we die. Or they may just figure it out on their own. But the point is, somebody cared enough about them to share a resource, which planted a seed, which moved the empowerment in divine timing, not our timing. And sometimes we have to get comfortable with that. Sometimes we have to get comfortable with the fact that we plant seeds and they grow in divine timing and not our timing. And it's okay. So when you're sitting in prayer and you get that nudge of, this is my thing to do, whether it's mentoring somebody over a long period of time, giving a coworker a tip on if you would just adjust this little thing, it may help. And when we do those little bits of encouragement, then we need to be able to go and live out that fifth principle that we have, which is to do the truth that we know. Our way shower showed us that through encouragement and empowerment, it changes the world. It changed the world so much that the leaders of that time didn't want him around. But there was a woman who thought, all I need to do is touch his garment, and I will be healed. If you can live your life accordingly, that a thought of just that can create the change. Because he replied to her, it wasn't I that healed you. It was your faith. She did it. Her faith did it. His living his life as the example sparked that hope, which gave the foundation for faith, for her to be able to be healed, to be changed. And that is empowering. So, power up, power out. Everything shines when we do that. Empowering is freedom. It is freedom for the self, it is freedom for the other, and eventually it is freedom for the world because it ripples on out. It is impossible for the world not to change because of this. Completely, totally impossible for the world not to change. Because if one person is empowered where they used to not be, the world just changed. Fill your cup. Spend that time with God. Fill your cup and do some self-care things. Sometimes those things are having dinner with the girls, hanging out with the guys, watching the game. And we may think it is wasting our time because it's pleasure time, joy time, but our bodies need that. Just because we're grown up doesn't mean we don't need play. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean you don't need play. And so when you get to spend that time with friends, laughing over life, venting because, good God, this happened again, but being allowed to be your full, authentic self completely and wholly with no holds back, helps you to fill your cup. And when we are there expressing as the divine, it's like a bonus. We get time with our friend, and we get time with God expressing through that friend. It's the coolest thing ever. You get time with God, and you get time with a friend who's expressing as the divine. And we're empowered. And then we can go out and we can empower. So now we've got skin in the game. We do. Empowering others affects our consciousness and the consciousness of others. Empowering others affects our consciousness and the consciousness of others. And we've got this. Power up, power out, and then everything shines. So it is.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.